Dear student, good morning to all of you. In today's audio lecture, I will tell you about the essentials of effective communication. During this talk, I will tell you objectives, introduction, clarity of thought and expression, clarity of purpose and objectives of communication, appropriate tone, pitch, quality, force, and intensity of voice, positive and pleasant approach, adequate knowledge of the subject and the receiver, completeness, correctness, conciseness and relevance, courtesy and you attitude, the objective and realistic approach, organization of message, proper selection and use of media and channel, patience in listening and attentiveness, time, conciseness, and then I will tell you in end the assessment of the essentials of communication. As we know very well, and even my previous audio lectures, I have already briefed you about the objective of communication and what is communication and how communication plays its important role in modern scenario. I am telling you that after listening this audio lecture, you will be able to learn the need of effective communication, identify the factors affecting effective communication, knowledge prerequisite of effective communication, and significance of 7 C's in business communication to make the organizational success as well as smooth and positive working culture in the organization. In the earlier, you have gone through nature, type, feature, and various to communication. The increasing specialization and the expansion on complexity of today's business have brought about a revolution in the system of communication. The businessman who wants to survive in the competition has to develop his communicating skills. He must know how to communicate with the help of new and speedy technical device of communication. The management executives spend most of their time in direct and indirect form of communication. The efficiency of a manager depends on his skill and effectiveness of communicating with others. He has to communicate with others, tender and dealers for purpose and sales. He has to communicate with his superiors in order to decide the objectives and directives. He has to communicate with his subordinates in order to get their cooperation and improve the productivity. He has to deal with banks, transport agencies, government officials, legal advisors, maintenance companies, expert, customer, etc. So an effective communication is the key of source success or the commendable positivity in modern world of commerce and trade. In order to ensure that people should listen to what we say, they should understand it, believe in it, appreciate it, and finally get activated by it. The response of the other party depends upon how our personality is judged by them. It is the judgment of our manners, outward appearance, dress, neatness, and it is also the judgment of our style, tone, clarity, completeness, correctness, conciseness, objectivity, integrity, attractiveness, purpose of many of essentialities of effective oral and written expression. The essentials of effective communication are briefed in the following manner. First, clarity of thought and expression. In this, I will tell you the different things how clarity is important for effective communication. The circle of communication begins at the origin of an idea in the mind of communicator. A great deal of clarity is needed at this stage, for if the beginning is flooded, it is likely to know the entire communication process. The communicator must be very clear about all the aspects of the idea in his mind and about the purpose for which it is to be communicated. Next to it, he must be clear about the selection, suitability, and uses of the medium. The science of the encoded message must be carefully composed of and transmitted. It must be clear enough to replicate the exact meaning in the mind of the communication receiver. The words and sentences must be short, simple, and common so that the message is understood easily and readily. The clarity of thought and expression cannot be maintained if the communicator himself fails to understand his subject thoroughly. Sometimes he may know his subject, but he may fail to distinguish between its major and minor aspects. In order to maintain the clarity of thought and expression, the communicator can discard the use of well turned phrases and elegant sentences. Good language should not call attention to itself. On the other hand, it should strive to transfer ideas and thoughts from one mind to another. The communicator need not desire to captivate the receiver with the prose but should see whether his message is clear or notice message must be so clear that even the dullest man in the world should readily understand it. It should not consist of any ambiguities or misleading message. It should not consist of any ambiguities or the things. It should not be faulty and it should not produce any confusion in the mind of receiver. It should be free from synthetical errors. The communicator must plan and organize his material before communicating it to the receiver. Faulty punctuation is another cause of anxiety. For an example, on a busy road which was under repair, the following sign appeared: go slow, work in progress. This instruction should have been go slow, work in progress. While placing related ideas together, there should be no fault in punctuation and pause in the written and spoken communication, respectively. The special trade and professional language, which is properly known as jargon, is difficult to be understood by a common man. If we avoid jargon, it adds to the clarity of the message. These precautions should be taken before transmitting the message. Next is clarity of purpose and objectives of communication. We will let you know about the clarity and purpose and objective of communication in my next audio lecture. Thank you very much. God bless you all, my dear students.